Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Today I've got a great matchup for you guys, and I'm very excited to be able to bring this to you all on YouTube, and it is going to be another Terran versus Zerg. Of course, this is going to be in Heart of the Swarm. I know I said I was going to do some Wings of Liberty. I'm planning to do some soon. I just haven't had time to do it yet. But today I've got a real treat because we're going to be looking at one of the top German Terrans here. He is on Team NrS, and he goes by the name Kaup. And I've never actually casted a game of him before, but he is a top 100 GM player on the European ladder in Wings of Liberty, so obviously very talented Terran here. And he is going to be facing up against none other than the Ukrainian star Zerg player Dimaga. And very fun to go ahead and cast another game of Dimaga here. I've only done one or two of his so far, and every time I've done a game of him, I've been thoroughly impressed with his skill level and really experience that he's brought over from Wings of Liberty into Heart of the Swarm. So it should be a pretty good match. It is going to be a Zerg versus Terran, and so excited to see how this is going to go down. The last ZVT I did, of course, with Pha and Lomo ended up being quite the thriller. A lot of action, and hoping that this one lives up to that one at the very least. And you know, it is actually going to be the same map too, so maybe we'll get to experience the same amount of action that we did on the last game. We'll have to see. But Dimaga is now starting to send that Overlord over to the right-hand side, and he is now getting that drone over to the natural expansion to go ahead and plant that down. So this is going to feature two top players from the European region, or the Europe region. And Kaup, once again, I don't know if I mentioned this, he's a German Terran, and he is on Team NrS. MTW Dimaga, obviously from Ukraine. And very excited to see how this ZVT is going to go ahead and go down. We have that SCV now starting to move out across the middle of the map, going to try to get over to the Zerg side. Of course, this is a 1v1 map, not a 4-player spawn map, so you don't have to worry about, oh, did I send my SCV or my drone the wrong way, because it's very hard to miss scout on a map where obviously there's only one other starting location. So that SCV is going to be getting over to the Zerg side pretty quickly. Now, also, just wanted to say, if you guys have any cool 2v2 matches that you're watching any of the streamers play, any of the pro players playing 2v2 team games, FFAs, or anything like that, I do want to go ahead and dabble a little bit in getting some different matchups besides the standard 1v1. As much as I do love 1v1s, I do think there is, you know, a place in StarCraft 2 for competitive team games and whatnot as well. So if you guys see any high-level, you know, professionals playing 2v2s or FFAs or anything like that, any fun stuff, go ahead and have them, or feel free to have them, or if you guys have the replays, send them over to HDreplays@gmail.com. Anyways, we do have this Reaper coming in right now, and the Reaper, of course, having a ton of new toys to play with. It does have the combat drugs, but they did remove the ability for the Reaper to see up the cliff. Not that it matters, because the Reaper is just going to run right up here, and there is a bunker coming up. That bunker is about to finish, and the bunker finishes. So Dimaga, not a good start here, because this Reaper is going to have a place to go ahead and find shelter. And with the micro coming out of Dimaga so far, I mean Kaup so far, Dimaga is going to have a real hard time trying to break this down. We'll see if he's going to be able to do it or not. I'll go ahead and bring up the scoreboard. Some people like this up anyways, but yeah, we do have those Zerglings. Gonna get us around in the bunker, and the SCV actually hopping in and out. Great micro by Kaup here, trying to micro the SCV inside and outside to keep it alive for as long as possible. Of course, the Reaper's now jumping away, and you'll note during this fight, you know, as long as the Reapers stay far enough away, they start to regenerate that HP outside of combat. So very nice harass coming out of Kaup so far, making use of the new Reapers available here. And of course, he doesn't need a tech lab, as Blizzard did change the way, or the production requirements for the Reaper now. So you don't actually need a tech lab to produce him anymore. And I remember in that patch video, I remember mentioning, hey guys, I feel like the Reaper, you know, it's gonna become a unit where why wouldn't you make it in the early game, because it's that damn good with all of its new upgrades and whatnot. And if you don't need a tech lab, that just makes it that more accessible. And you can see here that the German Terran from NrS is really putting them to good use. He's got 4 of them on the field so far, and in terms of overall units lost, I guess he hasn't actually killed off that many. But the kind of nice thing about this is it really put Dimaga, I think, on the back foot a little bit. And of course, you know, there's that ever-present threat here for Dimaga. He has to realize, okay, I've got to be careful. I don't want to let those Reapers jump into my main. But there is one thing about this map that I think makes it a little hard for Reapers to actually work on. If you'll look here, this is the entrance to the main base, and this is actually a double cliff. That's a single cliff. Reapers can hop over that, but this is a little bit too tall for the Reapers in their jetpacks. Apparently, you know, their jetpacks aren't that strong. You know, you can't break the laws of physics here in StarCraft 2. What about those? Everyone's gonna be like, what about those meteorites that can fly in outer space and the Banshees that have helicopter blades that work in space? That doesn't make any sense. But there you have it. The Reapers can only apparently jump one story, not two. So yeah, I feel like this map, not the best map for Reaper play, but hey, Kaup is just gonna make a bunch of Reapers, and this is gonna be really interesting. Now, he is gonna go into bio mode pretty soon here with Stimpack on the way. We'll see how the battle-hardened and tested veteran from StarCraft 2, Dimaga, is gonna be able to handle this very unique strategy, as those Reapers are gonna go up and check for a potential third hatchery. There is no third. It seems like the new kind of standard these days for Zerg players to kind of delay the third hatchery in Heart of the Swarm up till sometimes even 8 minutes long, and they even delay the layer that long as well too. But it looks like Dimaga did get the layer a little bit quicker than his other Zerg counterparts did, and he is now starting to make a ton of roaches. His roaches are going to be great against Reapers, obviously, because roaches they have that extra armor. They don't take as much damage from the Reapers, which traditionally did more damage versus light units. Now their damage has been changed, so they just do a base amount of 4, still a deadly unit overall, but it does look like the roaches now are out on the field, so these Reapers are going to have to probably be very careful now, because this is basically the hard counter. It's like the rock versus the Reapers, which are the scissor, and the drones, of course, are the paper. But look at these Reapers. So they are really just getting a little bit, I think, and they're going to have to fly away now. Run away, fly away, jump away, whatever they do, and stay out of combat and regenerate HP. But unfortunately, Kaup not paying attention, and his Reaper squad is now thinned down to only 3. And now there's 16 roaches on the field, so I don't think the Reaper play is going to work for much longer. And you can see here back at home, Kaup says, okay, you know what, I'm done with it. I'm just going to wall up, get my supply depots up here, and form a little bit of a drawbridge wall, get a bunker in the back, and I think he's starting Marauder production as well, which obviously is a great idea against roaches. But we do have the Reapers still alive. They're running into the main, but how do these Reapers survive? Of course, at the front door, there is an attack going on right now as Dimaga tries to break through, but with the supply depots and the bio in the back, not to mention the bunkers as well, that's going to be pretty hard to do. Meanwhile, the one Reaper still survives. You can see how quickly it regenerates as soon as it was in between the main and the natural, and it wasn't being attacked. Its health started to go back up very quickly, and there we go again. So the Reaper just regenerates, gets right back up to full health. Of course, now it's only 1, so it's not that much of a threat. Meanwhile, though, at the front door, Dimaga has to be careful. He's running the stemmed up Marines and Marauders. But, you know, obviously, as a Zerg, you don't want to fight when those biological units are stemmed up. And so Dimaga just pulls away and says, okay, you're going to stem? That's fine. I know you don't have medevacs yet because you went for these early Reapers, and obviously it's going to be hard to get medevac support out that quickly. So I'm just going to let you stem up and waste your health. I don't need to fight you. And he pulls back to the Xel'Naga tower. So, obviously, very smart play by Dimaga, and sometimes the smartest play is not fighting, you know, run away. You don't always have to get in the fight with the bullies, but now we do have the medevacs out, so not just the Reapers now getting healthcare, but apparently healthcare is now universal. So there's Kaup now getting back up to full snuff, and it looks like he's got plans to go ahead and get a third pretty soon here once he's fully saturated. Right now at 57 SCVs compared to 61 drones, and really only 1 worker has gone down this game despite all the Reapers that have been out on the field, which is actually quite amazing. I guess it's just Zerg players nowadays are just getting really good at not losing their drones, at least in the last couple of casts I've been doing, so very, very happy to see that, obviously. But we do have that third command center now coming out, and it is going to land down and plant and become the new command center. Interesting that Kaup here actually has a Thor in his army. Now that I did not expect to see. Usually when Terrans go bio, they don't really opt to incorporate a Thor. Of course, there's a factory back here with the tech lab, but very curious that he decided to go to the Thor. Now the Thor doesn't get any upgrades from the bio. So this is weird that he would get a Thor, but maybe he just realized, hey, there's a lot of roaches on the field, and if I make a Thor, you know, the Thor is pretty good against roaches, especially if you're backed up by bio. Usually Thors by themselves, if you got a bunch of Thors, roaches can kind of own them, but with biological support, hey, the Thor might work out pretty well. You'd think, though, he would just go for straight Marauders, but I don't know, we'll see. It looks like he is going to find this expansion, and he's going to take that down. Oh, there are some Banelings and Infestors. See, the fungal misses, though. Great spread by the biological troops, but the roaches are coming from the north as well. This is where this Thor is going to have to show how much it's made, what it's made of, and it actually flees the scene. I was going to say, you know, this is where the Thor is really going to have to prove its worth, show that it does have a place in the heart of the Terran biological army, but it ends up just being a dead paperweight. And when I say paperweight, I mean like a dead medevac weight. And it's just gonna flee the scene. So the Thor had 1 kill. This guy, as baller as he looks, is actually just a coward. And yeah, he's gonna have to get repaired, and I hope to do something better in the next fight, because that was kind of embarrassing. But Dimaga really with a great hold right there. I thought for sure this hatchery was going to die, but you can see it survives with about 932 HP. Never was really in danger of going down, apparently. Now, HDreplays does have a medevac up at the Dimaga tower over here. Maybe planning to do some type of medevac drop or harass pretty soon. In fact, he does have a medevac coming in the 6 o'clock lane. He's going to go ahead and drop into this expansion area, but there is no hatchery here, so nothing to kill quite yet. We do have an Ultralisk Cavern coming from Dimaga. Meanwhile, another medevac actually. Wow, interesting. He put 1 medevac there. He's going to bring another medevac in here, but there are some. Well, look at that reaction, but from Dimaga, keeping his eyes on the minimap at all times. Of course, there's another drop going on from HDreplays at the 12 or the 11 o'clock hatchery, and that is, oh, it misses. The fungal misses right there. It whiffs entirely. Meanwhile, the main medevac, I don't even know if you can call it the main, does get its drop off inside of the natural expansion, but it ends up going down to several Baneling detonations, and not really too many drones going down, but there is an attack at the front. You know, HDreplays playing a very good game of StarCraft 2 right now, just attacking from all angles, but the 1 medevac at this area up here did end up going down. It looks like it got locked down by a fungal growth, and that was the end of that, but a trifecta force of an attack right there. And at the end of the day, he split Dimaga's attention so well that he was able to finish off the hatchery that earlier survived the initial onslaught with about 900 HP. Now we'll see if Dimaga, you know, he's got to be pissed off right now. He's making Ultralisks. We'll see if he's going to be able to get some revenge with the Ultralisks that are coming out on the field. This Marine desperately needs medevac support, although it doesn't look like it's going to get it. So, bye-bye, Marine. And Dimaga takes control over that potential expansion. We'll see if he decides to burrow. He didn't actually get the burrow upgrade, which is now available at hatchery, but interesting that he didn't decide to do that. But we do have another command center coming over here to the 5 o'clock pocket expansion, and it is quickly populated by SCVs and Marines. That Overlord will go down. And now the Terran HDreplays really racking up the income, man. He is sitting at about 2,700 minerals being made per minute. And, you know, that's going to really add up to a great surplus for the Terran. And HDreplays is just preparing himself very well for the late game, but I don't think Dimaga is going to let that happen so easily. I believe Dimaga here is preparing for a big attack soon. He is also expanding at the same time, too. So, you know, he's going to have backup. In terms of his economy will be doing really well. So if this attack fails, he'll be able to revamp very quickly. And typically in Zerg versus Terran, I feel like when the Zerg maxes out, you do want to try to make an attack. You do want to poke and prod, but you can see the buildings, the infrastructure, like the wall is being set up right here. And these aren't just normal buildings. These are command centers, which will soon become planetary fortresses, I believe, in the middle of the map. Of course, right now, they're proving to be just a bit of a choke point for the Ultras and Roaches, and that's great for HDreplays. I don't think HDreplays is in trouble here, but there is a fungal growth coming down. But the Ultras are just they're taking a ton of damage, but they are doing a bit of damage back down as well to the tanks and the Marauders. And, you know, this is such an interesting composition by HDreplays. He's gone not just with full bio, but he's gone with like a biomech mixture, and it's proving to work out pretty well here. He picks out the Infestors that were fleeing as well. What a beautiful play by HDreplays. And an incredible hold right there. Of course, a lot of that comes down to the building placement, helping to choke off the Ultras and the Infestors. And he just had a really cool mixture of units. You know, bio and mech. that's not something you run into every day, but he's even got the +1 weapons upgrade for his metal army as well. So this is, I mean, this is just too cool, man. This is too cool for school, and he's making it work. He's going with Biomech, not something you see every day, and this proven to be pretty effective. But Dimaga, man, he's got more ultras out on the field, and ultras now. If there's a unit that you need to shut down a mixture of biological forces and mechanical forces, I think the Ultra fits the bill perfectly. Now, that last battle, probably not the best example because they were so choked up. They had a hard time getting in melee range, but on the open field, where the Ultras roam free, they do damage now, 44 base damage AoE to everything, not just high metal objects. They do it to biological as well. So this is, I think, the perfect units that Dimaga is getting right now in order to combat that type of composition. We'll see how this goes down. He's also getting a double Spire as well, so he wants to go up to Broodlords pretty soon here, but I don't know if he needs to. He can certainly run through this army if he chooses to. Right now, they are pretty exposed out in the open, not hiding behind the orbital commands. So here we go. It looks like the Zerg is going to come in, but only coming in from one side. But I think that'll be okay. He's got more than enough here, I feel. Those Ultras are just up in the front, but no, he has to pull away. The Bio and the Metal just proving to be too much damage, even for the Ultralisks and their heavy Carapace upgrades and their Titanus Blading. So the Infestors now trying to flee, but they could not get away from the vision of the Comsat. And now Kaup is going to make a little bit of a back attack here, a little bit of a comeback attack, take out the pocket expansion. Of course, there are some Infestors here, but Dimaga not paying attention. He could have launched some fungal growth there, but he misses opportunity. And now, oh wow, he's just really, the momentum is starting to snowball in favor for the Terran player. You know, not only was he able to take out this hatchery, he just took out a big chunk of the Zerg army too, and now he's medevac boosting over to the 11 o'clock expansion to drop and do some damage over here. But there are Zerglings ready and waiting. They are crack upgraded, and with the Spine Crawlers here as well, it looks like Dimaga is finally going to be able to clean up the Terran army. There's the fungal growth to prevent the troops from running away as well. Beautiful play here from Dimaga, and you cannot boost out of fungal growth, or I guess you can, because Dimaga doesn't have enough energy for chain fungal. So lucky Kaup right there, because honestly, if there was one more Infestor there, I think this medevac squad probably would have went down, because that one extra Infestor could have spawned a bunch of infested Terrans. In fact, I'm surprised Dimaga didn't make infested Terrans with his surplus energy there to take out those medevacs and allow basically 4 medevacs and a Thor to get back home. That could have been a much more lopsided victory right there from Dimaga, but as it stands overall right now, I've got to give the flag to Kaup, man. He is in control of this game. He's lost about 5,000 less resources overall. And let's just take a look at some of these tabs here, man. He is just sitting real pretty. Got 4 more command centers coming up right at this moment. A couple of Marines over here at this outpost, but he is just ramping up production. And I'm really interested to see, is he gonna go for a fusion core and do what's really cool right now for Terran players, which is that they're all going for that kind of Sky Terran battlecruiser build with Ravens. It's so good against Zerg players because the Seeker missiles, the point defense drones, and the battlecruisers just are a great endgame composition against Zerg. I'm very curious to see if Kaup is gonna go for it. Obviously, Dimaga is getting Corruptors out right now, but he's not getting Corruptors because he's worried about battlecruisers. He's getting Corruptors because he wants to go for Broodlords. And he's also getting some, Parasite upgrade as well. Interesting that he hasn't gotten any Vipers yet. Maybe he'll get some later on, because I definitely feel like a few Vipers in this army would be great for Dimaga. But looks like, oh, great play from Kaup. Drops off to detonate a Baneling, but he ends up getting fungled, but it's okay because he's got backup underneath the medevac, so he will not get chain fungled. You'll note the Thors are actually in the high impact payload mode right now. That's why they all look a little bit different. The high impact payload, of course, allows the Thor, they still have the same ground attack, but they have a much more hefty air-based attack. They do 28 damage, which punches through the heavy armor units like the Broodlord. It's a little bit more effective, but they lose the ability to splash. That's the only thing that is, it's a little bit of a giveaway for the not a giveaway, but a little bit of a trade-off for the Thor. So we'll see how that plays out, but it does look like Kaup is coming in through into the 6 o'clock here with some medevacs. At the same time, Dimaga is planning to make some spine crawlers. It's almost like he had a sixth sense that the hatchery was going to fall under attack, but that sixth sense kicked in just a hair too late, and he is going to lose that hatchery. Meanwhile, Kaup taking this opportunity while Dimaga is distracted to do some damage over here at the 12 o'clock or the 11 o'clock hatchery, and he will take that down as well. And Dimaga is in so much trouble, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how he's going to come back in this game. Look at the resources for Kaup. He's at almost 7,000 resources banked. And now SCVs are being thrown away. It's like Kaup is like the rich boy who just has so much money. He's lighting it on fire right now, and he's laughing in the faces of the poor. And I'm looking right at you, Dimaga, when I say that right now, man. You, comparatively to Kaup, you're a little broke, my friend. You know, you've got, I guess he's not totally broke, but he's comparatively, he's got less than half the money and the minerals and the gas, so that does not bode well for him. Now, of course, he does have a lot of drones, so he can remake that money pretty quickly, but he needs these hatcheries to not die. He needs to keep them alive. I'm surprised that Dimaga, it looks like he's going to lose some queens here, but I'm really surprised that Dimaga isn't just planting like a row of spine crawlers like here and down here to protect these hatcheries. Meanwhile, though, we do have another medevac dropping in the main. It is going to go down. I don't know what troops came out of that, but I'm surprised that Dimaga, you know, the thing about Brute Lords is they're so slow. You can't have them defending the top and the bottom, which is of the map, which is so vastly far apart from each other. You need some type of static defense. So I would like to see Dimaga, you know, use some of his extra drones and just make a row of spores and spines to help deflect these medevac attacks, which are just coming in, and it's almost like clockwork. They're just dropping 2 at a time here, and once again this hatchery is going to go down, and we do have a couple of crawlers coming. I think Dimaga realizes he needs it. Thankfully, this time he's got some ultras nearby. He will shut down this drop. But, of course, if you look at the mini-map, we have another impending attack over here at the 12 o'clock, but it's just 3 Marines. Alright, so I guess this one won't do too much damage, but it will pick off a couple of drones. So far, workers killed actually surprisingly close. You'd think that the Zerg would have lost a lot more, but it's been pretty close, and the resources lost are quite identical as well. So I'm not sure how Kaup has so much money, but yeah, I don't know how he has so much more money than the Zerg player. That doesn't make any sense to me when he's lost about the same amount as the Zerg has. Maybe it's the mules. I mean, how many command centers are there right now? Orbital commands, I should say. A lot. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of command centers overall. Not that many orbitals, but in total, there are so many CCs, and, you know, mules just give you so much money. I think that's where the differential is kind of coming in at. In fact, look at these pocket expansions. They're being mined almost down to the bare ground now. The one over here has already been mined out entirely, so very cool. But these Marines, whoa, buddy, slow down. Those Marauders just got blasted about a few feet away, maybe more like a few yards, like 10 yards away. That was kind of crazy. But yeah, those Marines and Marauders don't know what they were doing. We do have a couple of Vipers now included in the army. The Vipers could prove to be the unit that Dimaga needs, that extra edge in order to break through this Terran army. You'll note he's maxed out right now, and we'll see if he chooses to use Blinding Cloud or Abduct. We do have the bio coming over to the, once again, the 11 o'clock. They're going to be able to take out this hatchery, and of course, Dimaga has to decide now, does he send some troops back home to defend? Because right now he's just trying to kill off planetary fortresses, which obviously doesn't make much sense. And it looks like that hatchery has gone down, and the Ultras are going to come back and take that down. So, wow. Those, the one Ultra died and its limbs like exploded in all directions. But anyways, we do have a big attack going on here. And will Dimaga, whoa, Seeker Missiles, Seeker Missiles, Seeker Missiles, they dud it out, So the units were able to get out in time before the Seeker Missiles could lock on. And now Dimaga is trying to flee the scene here. He's got to get a couple of fungos. All the units are choking up at this little choke point, but more Seeker Missiles now coming out. Oh, a couple landing. And now the Ultra's trying to get up close and personal to take out the troops on the ground. This is such a crazy fight. The Ultras are going to be able to cleave the Thors, and now the medevacs evacuate. They have sounded the retreat horn, and they are going to get those Thors out of there. But a lot of Terran metal troops going down, and that's just showcasing the power of the improved Ultralisk. Who cares about Burrow Charge when you have an Ultra that's doing 44 base damage AoE per, you know, claw, of a swipe of its claws? And HDreplays right there just realizing the brunt force and how brute those Ultras can totally be. That was a great battle, and now this game is really, I feel like, you know, you look at the supply, he is maxed out once again, but I definitely feel like this is a very close game right now. One thing that I might tip the scales here is Dimaga's gas intake is not very good, and wow, does he need these two extractors to not go down right now. Meanwhile, you have another attack going on here. Ultra's getting out-kited by Marines on stimmed up drugs, and meanwhile, these stimmed up Marines take out the hatchery as the Corruptors try to take them down. The Medivacs just boost and get out of the way though, and they're gonna drop over into this main base. Beautiful plays right now coming out of HDreplays and Dimaga. Who is gonna take the upper edge? HDreplays, if he can take out some of these crucial structures, he might have a really good shot of closing out this game, and he's gonna take out that spawning pool. Beautiful play right there, and once again, just boosts out of there. Oh man, this is kind of crazy to watch. This is incredible from HDreplays. Beautiful micro. He once again attacks the hatchery at the 11 o'clock position with these very weakened Marines. I mean, no doubt being comboed by Ultralisk claws and using too much drugs does that to you. But there's just enough remaining to take out the hatchery at the 11. Beautiful play. And meanwhile, finally, Dimaga cleans this up. And to answer the question that I had earlier, guys, yes, it looks like the Terran player is going to go into Sky Terran mode, because guess what? He's got a ton of Ravens right now, and he is making the ultimate weapon of war. That is the Battlecruiser, and there are Battlecruisers, and there are 3 on the way right now. Now remember, the armor upgrade shares across the board for Terran Metal, not the weapons upgrade. So for now, it looks like he's only got ship weapons level 1. It would be nice for him to go ahead and get a couple more rounds of that upgrade. In fact, he's starting ship weapons level 2 as we speak. And it looks like HDreplays just gonna throw away the rest of his bio to clear up supply so he can get more battlecruisers on the field. And if he can take out a hatchery as well, that's a nice little bonus. Will he get it? He does! Incredible! And Dimaga loses yet another hatchery. Wow, this game is making my mind implode right now. This is just too much to handle. Look at the EPM right now from both players too. Really sky high. It's averaging 200, almost 300 apiece. That's what happens when you've got pros playing and multitasking at the level that you see right here. Just an incredible game of StarCraft 2. Now, look at the SCV count. It is pretty low as well for HDreplays. It's just throwing away SCVs, man. This is like just freeing them up. And whenever you see a Terran player doing this, honestly, honest to God, it is never a good sign. Because when a Terran player starts throwing away his SCVs, you know that he's got so much money banked up. It's like he doesn't have any more minerals to mine, so he's just getting rid of them to free up supply for more units. So it's almost like it's not really a good thing when you see that happening. It's like really it's a Trojan horse of a gift. And yeah, HDreplays, man, he's making more battlecruisers. He's gonna have a very large army of BCs, Vikings, Ravens, huge medevac squad as well. I would almost say right now HDreplays could probably afford to get rid of some of those medevacs, because honestly, does he need these medevacs when he doesn't have that much bio? He could free up the medevacs in the same fashion that he freed up his SCVs for more supply, unless he wants to keep a small bio army underneath as well, and of course use the medevacs for evacuation for his tanks. That's, you know, not a bad idea either. But this is going to shape up to be a very interesting late game. You know, we are in the late game, but this is going to shape up to be a very interesting conclusion. As Dimaga does get a spine wall behind one of these expansions here, and more spines and sports, like I said before, a nice wall of crawl to keep his bases safe so that these Marauders and Marines can't do what they've been doing all game long. Now, the real question here, and I've seen it time and time again, when the large... I was gonna say the Large Hadron Collider. You might as well call it the Large Hadron Collider, because this is like an epic force meets an epic force, and a huge massive explosion will occur at the end of the day. Now look at this, he is killing off all these medevacs, so obviously he's doing what I thought he was going to do. But what I was going to say is, when this large army meets the Zerg army, whenever I've seen this happen, you know, the Zerg usually loses. I don't know how else to put this bluntly, but the Zerg loses because it just can't stand up to the firepower afforded by Yamato Cannon, the defense afforded by point defense drones, and the Seeker missiles. It's just so much firepower, along with the tanks underneath as well. I honestly have never seen a Zerg survive this type of composition in the super late game. I don't know how Dimaga is going to do it. It's almost like you need so many corruptors and you need to spread them out perfectly, and you need to, on top of that, the problem is if you have all these corruptors, how do you stop the point defense drone? It is really kind of a problem, and I don't know if he's going to be able to have an answer for it. Now, maybe infestors are the key here, but he's only got 10 on the field, and I'm not too sure where they're all huddled up right now. It looks like, you know, you've got a couple here and like a couple somewhere else out there, but he needs to prepare himself for this attack because HDreplays is starting to leapfrog his tanks. He's fired off the declaration of war, and he says he wants to end the game now. And we'll see what happens, man. But you can see, obviously, Dimaga spreading out his Broodlord, spreading out his Corruptors. Will he go in? It looks like he's preparing to do it. And maybe he's just pushing the tanks back, the initial tanks. But at any moment now, I mean, all hell could break loose. This is going to be such an exciting finish. I really can't wait to see what happens. I think maybe HDreplays might be in his best interest to go ahead and wait for +3 ship weapons to finish. Every little advantage you can get here is going to help so much. And, you know, that extra ship weapons upgrade is going to be very, very effective here, especially with all this battle cruisers and Vikings on the field. So that would be nice for him to wait for, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do. Meanwhile, we did hear some medevacs loading up, so perhaps he's gonna, while he's waiting, gonna go ahead and do a little bit of side harasses as well, which is obviously a good idea. You'll note right now on the income tab, there was a second there that HDreplays wasn't actually making any minerals at all, and you know he's only got 24 SCVs, which means his army is massive, and it's okay to have 24 SCVs because there's really not that much more money to be made. Of course, the Zerg also very low on workers right now as well because he's basically recycled his workers into spines and spores, which are going to help immensely in the big fight. If he can retreat into his spines and spore collars, that's going to help quite a bit. Now here comes the medevacs. They are boosting one to the main and one to the top expansion, but this time too many forces, too many spines and spores. I don't know why the Marauders are target practicing on the rock tower. That's not going to help. But these Marauders actually hitting home here, and not too many troops back at home to defend against this. And here comes HDreplays. The big army is rolling in. That's a lot of Ravens and battle cruisers. How the hell is Dimaga gonna handle this? Yamato cannons beginning to fire down. Fungal growths coming out as well. Corruptors coming from the bottom. Broodlords and Corruptors at the top, but there's a lot of Seeker missiles. Oh my god! Goodbye, Sky Zerg army disappears into oblivion. And will Dimaga have enough after that crippling blow? It looks like he is still continuing to send in more troops on the production tab, making more Corruptors, obviously. He might just win this fight, which is unbelievable. Wow, he does win the fight. And actually, I'm looking in the air right now. I really don't see any point defense drones at all. I think maybe HDreplays might have misstepped a little bit because when you play this composition, you need to throw down a bunch of PDDs to stop the Corruptors. That's the main threat, and he actually used all of his energy on Seeker missiles, I believe, which, you know, obviously isn't good because you need the point defense drones to protect against the Corruptors and their attacks, and maybe right there HDreplays with a bit of a misstep, but I mean, if that was a misstep, then this is just an absolute trip because he is killing Dimaga right now from all angles. He is coming over to the 11 o'clock, and I mean, this army is not going to be stopped. It is going to take out this hatchery. Meanwhile, the 4 Marauders have been kind of carving their way through the main base, and they just ripped a hole through the Zerg heartland, and this hatchery is going to go down. So great play. I mean, honestly, HDreplays has no worries right now. He's put Dimaga down to 122 supply, and he is just killing hatchery after spire. And it looks like the Spire ends up getting the last slap for the Broodlings too, because they end up finishing off the Marauders. But the troops are running back, and they are going to try to finish off the Ultra Cavern. I don't think it's going to go down though, because the Broodlings and the forces are coming back, and uh-oh, we have a little bit of a dilemma here. Dimaga doesn't have any troops in order to take out that the last Marine, so there we go, some Zerglings coming out, and that'll be able to clean it up and save the Ultraless Cavern. Now, that was just unreal. That was a little insane, but it's not over yet. Right now, obviously, I'm giving the edge to the Terran player because he just tore a hole through the main base. He's really put the pressure on Dimaga, but Dimaga still has a decent amount of minerals and gas. Not all that much, but he's got to overcome this supply deficit right now. There is a 64 supply deficit, and if Dimaga cannot overcome that, I don't know how he's going to win this fight. The majority of the supply, though, I will say, is being tied up in Vikings and Ravens. So if he can get some type of ground troops on on the ground, and he can stop these tanks and Marines and Marauders, he might still be okay, and he might be able to hold off any further damage to his structures. But I don't know how he's going to be able to find him any way in himself to be able to do that. We can see some Zerglings here are trying to get us around, and they are going to be able to push these Marines back. This might just be the last final fight, ladies and gentlemen. Will Dimaga be able to come back in this game? Ouch! That does not help. Those Corruptors really taking a beating there to the Seeker Missile, and I don't think Dimaga can do it. HDreplays just has too many forces, and this time look at the PDDs he drops down, totally shutting the Corruptors down, cannot allow them to attack, and Dimaga is done. He's done for. The meal signifying the end of the game, and GG calls the Ukrainian Zerg player Dimaga. Beautiful StarCraft 2 game. That was absolutely incredible, and I want to go ahead and thank HDreplays from NRS for sending this replay to me. I mean, really, really cool game. He's promised a couple of TLO replays as well, so I'm really looking forward to being able to cast those. But if you guys know anybody playing Heart of the Storm at a high level, feel free to have them send their replays into me, just like this game, to HDreplays@gmail.com. Also, if you guys like what I do, feel free to subscribe. That'd be really cool. I'm at YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at HD StarCraft. And for now, what an incredible game. I'll leave it at that. I'll have more replays coming out for you soon, guys. This is HD signing out.